And then we also have something similar to that, except he's reincarnated as the 8th son, so he's extremely poor nobles. The title is mostly like a question. He's like, it's more of a sarcastic question, of, am I really the 8th son? Yes, 8th son. Because the 7th prince is something else. Anyway, he's the 8th son of the royal family, and of a royal family, noble family. Sorry, noble family. Except they're the lowest, and they have very little land, and a very weak, everything is very, they have no power, and they have very little people in their land, and they don't really have much to, they don't really have any money or title or house or land to pass on to their kids. And also all of the children give up their title, give up their right to inherit it, become adventurers, and leave the house. He waits his time. He kind of tries to hide his power and just practice on his own, so his oldest brother's not threatened by him, because they realize that he has magical talent. He goes off to the academy right away and tries not to visit home, because otherwise there might be a power struggle. He ends up actually gaining the title Baron and then Count by the king, because of his deeds that he does. He is very powerful and adventurer and very well known. He's even saves a bunch of people, so they grant him titles. Mostly also get him to do a lot of jobs, because other nobles would otherwise gain more land and titles. And instead they can give him a title or two and just a bunch of money. He's proposed by 2 of his adventure party members, and he also ends up with a noble fiance, which is one of the reasons why they were very happy. They wanted his promotion. Oh yeah, she's actually a priestess. She was seen as a saint, from a noble family. And she is his fiance. They do more good deeds, and they earn more and more money. They end up actually, the royal kingdom actually ends up making him take over the old, his family's territory, because there's rebellion, and him being his brother was used and by other nobles, so the rebellion would be focused towards him, and they could continue living their lavish life in case anything went wrong. They end up killing him, mostly because those nobles gave him a powerful tool that ended up transporting him, making him into a monster, which they had to kill. And apparently his evil spirit went and found those nobles that were holding a party and murdered all of them, so we don't have any more evil officials in the area, and then he's now taking over and ruling that land. And he has to rebuild it, and he has to do a lot of landscaping of unused area that they couldn't really use for farming or anything like that. So he had to take over his dad's old territory, which I didn't understand why he didn't give it to his second oldest brother, which was going to be responsible and was always there in case anything happened to his oldest brother anyway. He would be instated as the next head. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't know why he didn't hand over the title to his older brother and just help out with landscaping, which he was going to do anyway. I'm very confused. And then he also wanted... he also got permission from the king to, so he's able to, since a bunch of nobles died, there was a few titles that were left. There was quite a few titles left for the king to decide, hey, who's going to be the new noble, who's going to be in charge of this area, who should I appoint, or give this property to. He requests for the king, instead of money or property or any of that, he wants the ability to grant 2 of those titles. Apparently, he hoards them. He keeps them so he can give them to his oldest brother's kids because they're still alive. But he also gave them a house very far away from people, so they wouldn't be attacked or be involved in the rebellion because he had to kill their dad. But I don't know why he didn't give them just like one title and give the other title to his brother, his second oldest brother. Like, just not all there in the head or something. Because I was like, this was a very obvious decision. I do not know why you made this. And you can just give it to like the oldest child of your younger brother, or you could give it to a friend or someone else. Like, I do not understand. I guess I never will. But yeah, happy ending for that one. And then there's also the seventh prince, who's just obsessed with magic. This one is really good, and I was very happy that they made it into an anime. Mostly just filled it in. I was like, all you really need to do was add color, because it's amazing. I feel like they left out a little bit about how nerdy he was in magic, but I get it. I was like, it's a little slow, and most of us skip a little bit when he just rants about on magic. But as the goat said, he's a magic nerd. Nope. He's obsessed with magic. The goat demon says a few things, and they're usually very spot on. Whenever he talks about the seventh prince, oh, magic maniac. That's the correct word. Yes, he is. I believe he's a god, and I kind of get it a little bit, but I still don't. Because there's the whole thing about people will say that someone's the goat, trying to say that they're good, that they're like really good, and that they're really strong, and like they're the coolest. But that phrase makes zero sense, because goats are... I hate goats. I grew up with goats. They're evil. They eat anything, they rip out your hair. They charge at you. They ram at you. They're smaller, their meat doesn't taste great. Their milk is pretty average. I think cow's milk's a little bit better, but it's about the same, not really different. There's nothing special about them. They're really gross. Yeah. They poop and pee everywhere. Because like most animals, they won't like poop or pee on the area that they eat. No, not these animals. They have zero brain. They're the same equivalent to a chicken. There is zero difference. They get their heads stuck in everything. If they grow horns, it's a problem. And they can kill each other if they both have horns, because they'll fight. Even the female goats will fight each other. So, and then they will also like abandon their young and everything like that. But that's pretty common. Animals who have weaker children usually abandon them. But they usually have quite a few kids. So, yeah, they're a very weak animal. There's no real use for the animal, so I don't understand the phrase. I kind of got it for like a half a second when we talked about this anime. I was like, I kind of get the goat, because this was a very powerful demon that was sealed in Gwynmar, and they later called him. They were like, hey, just call me Gwynmar is my name, and then they shortened it to Grim. And it's the first demon that the prince defeats. So he defeats the demon, he seals him. The demon is like, you let me live, so let me try and take over your body. And then I saw that your entire body is literally just magic. So it just proves that the seventh prince is magic. He is a god, and he is magic. That is all I have to say on the matter. And the rest of the world just slowly learns it. That's all that happens. But anyway, he's obsessed with magic. Everyone believes that he's reincarnated of a magician, of a famous magician. He was actually killed by that famous magician, and he also barely could use any magic. He was not talented at all. He didn't have any noble birth, which is why they decided to murder him. He was studying in the... He was fortunate enough probably had good enough grades to be able to study, and he was just studying magic. He went to school. He went to like a similar tower or magical school as them, and that's why he was murdered. And he wakes up and he's like, I remember my past life, and I still have my passion for magic. So I sneak out of my crib at night and I study. And he just studies all the time. And then he ends up having a very powerful adventure maid who forces him to train with a sword. And he is always trying to run and hide from her so he can read magic. And he wants to learn more magic, and that's how he snuck into the guarded forbidden area so he could try and find more magic. And then he gets to go Mar, and then that goat demon always, he's like, I will just wait, and then I will try and take over your body later. Yeah, there is no hope for him. He will never be able to take over his body. So he just lives in his hand, and he just becomes his servant slash slave or whatever. The prince only cares about magic, so he doesn't really care or know, and he's very innocent, and he believes that the demon just likes to hang around and be bonded with him and won't try and attack him or anything like that. Plus, it doesn't even matter if he did know, because the demon can't do anything. He can't do anything to him or anything like that. He could try and hurt other people, but that's basically it. That's all he could do. And then later, he ends up fighting another demon. Well, actually, a few other demons. He ends up fighting a few other demons. He also ends up trying to go to a magic academy. So yeah, it's lots of fun, lots of magic. He is magic. But I was like, even if that phrase was like accurate for like the goat, you talking about the powerful goat demon, but he was a wimp, and he was weak, and he was defeated at the very beginning of the anime, so that proves that I don't understand that phrase, and I will never understand it, and whatever anyone says, anyone's the goat, I know what it means, I know they're supposed to be cool or whatever, but I will 100% always believe that they are a weak piece of crap, and that now that you've said that they are completely useless and complete trash. Because goats are lower than trash. And equal to trash. And they eat trash. So, I don't understand that phrase, and I never will. Okay, yeah. But I was very happy, and when I was watching it, I was ranting on about how he was superior to everyone. And how he was God, and you're like, oh yeah, everyone else is like, they're OP with magic, and they use magic. He is magic. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make that very pointed. Okay. And then I have a complaint about what I was talking about earlier. About what I was just watching about in season 2 and even in the first season of In Another World with my smartphone. Like, he learns so many spells, and he gets so good with a sword. So it's really interesting for like over the first half of the first season. But then he learns this little trick called the slip spell, and then he just uses and abuses that spell from then on. Like, that's the only magic he uses. And then later he's fighting a giant demon, and he can't use that spell. He'll actually use that spell once. But mostly just use against the caster. He can't use it against the demon. All he does is enhance and apply a few spells to his sword and swing it, and then he won. So he uses basically no magic and no sword skill and nothing. So he might as well just be a powerless noob, because he doesn't do anything. And I'm like, you learn so many skills and you have so much powers, and you can use all the elements, but you don't use any of it. So, I'm very disappointed. I'm very happy, and I love the first half of the season, of the first season. But it just gets downhill from that. So, I'm very disappointed. Mostly with that character, I'm just like, no, you only use this spell. I also thought they stopped making it at the first season. I didn't think there was going to be a second season. So I was very surprised, but I was like, I might as well watch it. Mostly because there was like a hint at the beginning saying that he would have 7 wives. And I was like, what? He only has 4. And then I ended up watching until the end. But yeah, I'm still very sad and very disappointed. Okay. And he still doesn't get any cat or animal wives. Like, there's a bunch of, and there's a whole beast kingdom. I think it's Beastman Kingdom. Like, there's a bunch of animals, and you barely see any of them. And I'm like, if you're gonna get a wife, at least like one of them should be like a cute, like Beastman, like have cute animal ears or something. But that never happens, though. I'm very disappointed. And hopefully, and I'm going to start rewatching Death March in a Parallel World because there are very cute animal girls, especially in the little advertisement screenshot. And they come in the story pretty early on, and they're very cute. And you see more Beastkin in that one than in Smart World Another World. But I believe we have everything I've watched recently, and everything I wanted to rant about, and all the stories on all the anime I wanted to cover at the moment. And then I can go over my list later, because I'm still making it. My entire list. Also, it's much better because I don't just have the names now. I also wrote a short summary, mostly just like a sentence, of what they're about, especially since a lot of the names will be like partially in Japanese or Japanese, or just like they're really vague, so you're just like no idea what they're about when you look at the name, because all you got is the name, and I'm like, I don't remember what that's about. And that's also how I ended up rewatching most of these. A lot of them were also like recommendations underneath. Yeah, very cute music. Anyway, everything. Oh, let the cat say goodbye. I can't see. There we go.